If you're a woman in your 40s or 50s and suddenly your body feels unfamiliar, the belly weight is showing up and your energy is not the same, the things that used to work just are not working anymore. You're not imagining it, and you're definitely not alone. Many women tell me I feel like I'm doing everything right, but my body is not responding in the same way. The truth is, it is not about discipline, it's about physiology. Hormones change, stress response changes, metabolism changes. And some of the things women do to try to fix this problem actually make it worse. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 reasons belly fat increases after 45 and what actually works instead. Before we talk about a solution, we have to understand what is actually happening in the body. Because when you understand the physiology, I feel like you stop blaming yourself and start working with your body. So, the first reason is estrogen. Yeah, I know we hear this often in this season of life as women move through perimenopause, menopause. Estrogen gradually declines. So, what does that mean? Estrogen influences a lot of our body systems, including how and where we store our fat. Earlier in our lives, women typically store fat around our hips and our thighs. We're feeling ourselves in our teens and our 20s for sure. But as we age, estrogen begins to drop, which means that fat storage tends to shift more towards the abdomen. Estrogen also helps to regulate insulin sensitivity, which affects how our body manages our blood sugar. So, when insulin sensitivity decreases, the body becomes slightly more prone to storing that energy rather than burning it. So, the midsection is often where women notice the biggest changes. And that's not failure, it's just a shift in physiology. The second factor is stress hormones, specifically cortisol. So, what is cortisol all about? Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone. In small doses, it's helpful, like when you're in that position where you need a boost, running from a bear, or even exercising. But during this stage of life, many women become more sensitive to cortisol spikes. That really means that stress just hits harder, it just hits differently. Stress doesn't only come from emotional pressure. Stress can come from poor sleep, it can come from overtraining, it can come from chronic dieting, and it definitely comes from work or life stressors. So, when cortisol stays elevated, the body tends to store more fat around the midsection. Sleep plays a big role here too, because if we're not getting adequate sleep, if sleep is disrupted, which is very common in this season of life, cortisol doesn't reset properly overnight. And that can lead to things like cravings and increased fat storage. So sometimes it isn't a food issue or an increase in intake issue, it's a stress load on the system. So I have a quick question for you. Have you noticed that most of the weight gain shows up around your midsection in this season of life? If that is your experience, tell me in the comments below. I always am curious how many women are seeing this same pattern. But let's go to our third factor. This third factor is all about muscle loss. After the age of about 35, 40, we naturally start to lose muscle mass unless we actively work to maintain it. And muscle is incredibly important for the metabolism. I like to call it metabolic insurance because muscle helps to regulate your blood sugar. It helps to burn calories at rest and it helps to improve your overall metabolic health. So, when muscle declines, the body burns fewer calories throughout the day. So, even if eating habits stay the exact same, your metabolism can slow slightly. This is why strength training becomes more important as we age or after 40 and not less important. This next reason is the one I see most often. Women continue using the same strategies that they used in their 20s and 30s to lose weight, and they're not seeing the benefits. Things like cutting calories too low, doing tons of cardio, skipping meals, or trying to burn off the food. But in this season, in midlife, those strategies can actually backfire. Chronic calorie restriction raises the stress hormone, and excessive cardio without recovery can increase cortisol. So instead of improving fat loss with these efforts, the body becomes more protective of that energy. It thinks about storing or keeping that energy. And that's when women start to say stuff like, nothing works anymore. What I'm doing is not netting results. The truth is, in this season of life, the strategy needs to evolve with the season of life. We can't pull in old strategies and expect the same results. So, if those are the challenges, then what actually helps? Instead of trying to punish your body, I am a huge fan of participating with what is going on. The goal now becomes supporting your physiology. For most women, this includes things like strength training 2 to 3 times per week to rebuild, maintain muscle. This includes prioritizing protein at every meal to support your metabolism, to support that muscle growth. This includes walking or low intensity movements instead of constant high intensity workouts, which involves adding stress to the body. This involves protecting your sleep as much as possible. I know it can be challenging to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep nightly, but maybe making sure that we're getting restorative sleep with whatever sleep we are getting. And this includes regulating stress so that cortisol isn't elevated all day. That cortisol is working in that rhythm that it should, where it's high in the morning and tapers off throughout the day. When all of these pieces come together, the body becomes more responsive again, and you start to see the results that you are trying to achieve. One of the things I often talk about with women as a coach is sometimes the biggest shift in the season is not physical, it is mental. Really tapping into what is going on with your body and learning strategies around it. This month, and probably for the next several months, we're going to walk through the Gospel of Mark. And in this gospel, Jesus uses the word repent, which literally means to change the way that we think. And I believe that applies here because navigating menopause requires us to kind of shift our mindset a little bit. Instead of thinking that your body is broken or that it's fighting against you, we start to ask better questions, right? What does my body need in this season? And what strategies do I need to implement so that I'm working with my body and not against it? That perspective moves us from fighting what's going on to actually stewarding our season of life. So if you're experiencing menopause weight gain, especially around your midsection, it isn't simply about willpower. It's about understanding the hormonal, the metabolic, the stress related shifts that are happening during this stage of life. Once you understand those changes, then you can begin to work with your body instead of constantly feeling like you're battling it. If you want help building a personalized strength and nutrition plan for this season of life, I do work with a small amount of women one to one, and I would love to have you join our roster. So if you're interested, you can apply using the link below. And as always, if this video has helped you understand what is happening in your body, make sure that you subscribe. Share it with someone you know who could use this information to encourage them to start to work with their body instead of against it. Here in this space, I share weekly guidance on menopause health, strength training, and faith centered wellness. Thank you for stopping by. Have a great day.